Welcome back to Play Action Fantasy Football. This is Jonathan here going over tight end week 7 start sits. It's going to be a good one. I think there's going to be a couple surprises here. We're going to jump into Thursday night. We have the Jaguars at the Saints. Evan Ingram is looking good for the Jaguars. I think he's going to be a cautionary start, though. Saints have a very good defense, one of the best in the league. So I do think Evan Ingram is going to have a decent week. However, I wouldn't expect a lot out of him. So he's a solid cautionary start there. And as far as the Saints, Taysom Hill and Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, he's questionable, not looking good for him, so I'm going to have to sit him. He's usually their starting tight end, but Taysom Hill's working his way back into that figure there at tight end. So Taysom Hill's going to be a start for me this week. I think this is the week that he shows out like he did last year. Last year he's shown what he can do. He hasn't done it quite as much this year, but Alvin Kamara's back, and I think that could mean Taysom Hill's back as well. So you want to start Taysom Hill this week for sure. Going to Sunday, we're looking at the Falcons at the Bucks. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. However, the tight ends could play a part in that. So for the Falcons, I think Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith are both cautionary starts. I do think Pitts is definitely getting more points than Jonnu Smith. However, Jonnu Smith definitely, they've shown they like to use both of them. So I'm going to put them both there, cautionary starts, and don't be afraid to throw them in there this week. Now, as far as the Bucks go, Cade Otton, he's going to be a cautionary start. However, that's really depending on Mike Evans. I think if Mike Evans isn't playing, Cade Otton has a decent chance at putting up some points. He's going to be a cautionary start at that point. However, if Mike Evans is playing, I think Cade Otton's going to have to be a sit. I think Baker's not going to be looking for him quite as much, and especially not towards the end zone. So definitely keep an eye on that. Again, this is Monday we record, so we're not too sure how it's going to play out the rest of the week as far as injuries go. Next up, Raiders at the Bears. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I think Austin Hooper is going to have to be a sit this week. He's kind of moving down on the Raiders tight ends because Michael Mayer is moving up. He's going to be a cautionary start, Michael Mayer, against the Bears' bad defense. I think they might actually start utilizing him a little more in the red zone, maybe get him some touchdowns. So I definitely would not be scared to start Michael Mayer this week. And as far as the Bears go, Cole Kmet, he's going to be a start this week. He's obviously a top 8 tight end against the Raiders, who have a very mid defense. I think the Bears need to fight for something this year. So I think Cole Kmet can bring that to him. Justin Fields likes finding Cole Kmet, so look for that this week. Next up, Browns at the Colts. We have David Njoku and Kylan Granson. David Njoku, he hasn't had a good year by any means. He got burned in his face and his hand a couple weeks ago. He didn't play last week. He played this past week. I do think Njoku is going to be a cautionary start against the Colts. I think against the Colts, he has a good opportunity no matter who's throwing it, whether it's P.J. Walker, Deshaun Watson, or DTR. I think Njoku still gets the touches and possibly gets in the end zone this week, so he might be a surprise to some people. And Kylan Granson is going to be a sit for me. Browns have one of the best defenses in the league. Kylan Granson isn't going to see the ball much, so he's going to be a sit. Commanders and Giants, Logan Thomas, Darren Waller, both of those guys are going to be starts this week. Obviously, Darren Waller, he is a great tight end. He puts up points. I know I don't trust the quarterback situation very much in the Giants organization, but we will see Waller get some points for sure. Logan Thomas, he hasn't had a great season so far, not as much as a lot of people would hope, but I do think against the Giants, he definitely can put up some points. The next 1 o'clock game we're looking at is Lions at Ravens. Laporta and Mark Andrews, they're both going to be starts. Honestly, I think they're both in the top 5 tight ends, so you're going to have to start them both. It's going to be a battle of tight ends this week. They're in Baltimore, so look for them both to be getting you a lot of points, honestly. Bills at Patriots, we're looking at Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, and Hunter Henry, and Mike Gesicki. I'm sitting all of them. I don't think any tight ends on either of the teams are going to have a good day whatsoever. Kincaid's questionable. That doesn't help his situation at all. Dawson Knox isn't getting the touches that he used to get by Josh Allen a couple years ago, so I'm going to have to sit both of those guys. And Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, Mike Gesicki's an easy sit for me. Hunter Henry was a little bit harder. He started off really strong, but I don't think the Patriots are using him quite as they should, and the Bills have a good defense. I don't think they're going to allow Hunter Henry to be getting a lot of touches, so I'm going to have to sit both of those guys. Next up, we're going to 4 o'clock games. We got Cardinals at Seahawks. The tight ends for Cardinals, Seahawks, I'm sitting all of them as well. Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, and Noah Fant. All three of them aren't very impressive. Zach Ertz obviously is the most talented of the three, but Trey McBride, he's not getting enough touches. Zach Ertz does get enough touches. But against the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks are going to hold their own against him. They know Josh Dobbs is trying to get him the ball, so I think he's going to have to be a sit for me this week. And Noah Fant for Seahawks, I don't have a lot of faith in him. Kenneth Walker's really taken a lot over on the team, and obviously they have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, some good receivers, so I don't think they're going to be utilizing Noah Fant very much, even though the Cardinals don't have the best defense. Next up, Steelers at the Rams. We have Pat Freiermuth and Tyler Higbee, both going to be cautionary starts this week. Pat Freiermuth is questionable. Again, this is Monday. We're not too sure how he's going to be playing, so you want to keep an eye out on that. But I do think he's going to be a cautionary start. The Rams have a good defense. I think Pat Freiermuth can have a good day. Doesn't mean he will. So he's going to be a cautionary start. If you want to take a little bit of a risk with a little higher end side, I think Freiermuth is that choice. And Tyler Higbee is a little bit of the opposite. If you want guaranteed points, but maybe a little bit lower, that's going to be Tyler Higbee. They're both going to be cautionary starts, and we'll see how they play. Next up, Chargers at the Chiefs. We're looking at Gerald Everett, Donald Parham, and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, another questionable. We're not too sure if he's going to be playing or not. So obviously, if he's playing, not a question. You want to start him. And if he isn't playing, I wouldn't worry about the Chiefs' backup in any sort of way. Now, as far as the Chargers go, Gerald Everett, Parham, they're both cautionary starts to me. The Chargers like to use them both. They're getting Eckler back this week, so it's going to take a little bit of those passes out of the hands of Everett and Parham, who actually have been having a good year. So I think they're both going to be cautionary starts. Everett over Parham a little bit, if you had to decide. But don't be scared to put them in, but don't expect too much from them at the same time. The last 4 o'clock game we're looking at is the Packers at the Broncos. We're looking at Luke Musgrave and Adam Troutman. Luke Musgrave is going to be a start this week. He's kind of up and down, but against the Broncos, number 32, terrible defense. I think Musgrave is going to have a good day today, or this week, I should say, not today. Hopefully he had a good day today, but Adam Troutman is going to be next for the Broncos. I think he's a sit. I don't have a lot of faith in the Broncos whatsoever. They just got Javonte Williams back, meaning they're going to give him the ball 3 times, and then they're going to punt it, and then whenever they get the ball, they'll give it to him 3 times again, and then they'll punt it. It's not going to be going to Adam Troutman. The 8 o'clock game for Sunday, we're looking at Dolphins and Eagles. We're looking at Smith and Goddard. Smith is going to be a sit for me. I know Aitchen's out. Jeff Wilson is most likely going to be replacing him. However, Miami just has too many weapons there for them to be worrying about Smith. Going on to Monday, we're looking at 49ers at Vikings. George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. Both are going to be starts. Both top tight ends. I think it's going to be another battle of tight ends, kind of Monday night, sluggish football, tight ends catching touchdowns kind of night. So I do think definitely start George Kittle or TJ Hawkinson this week. And that's going to do it for Play Action Fantasy Football today. Again, this was the tight end starter sits week 7. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Jonathan. Go like, follow, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think, and have a great fantasy football weekend.